Ace Frehley, the legendary guitarist who electrified millions as the original lead guitarist and founding member of the iconic rock band Kiss, has died at the age of 74. His death marks the end of an era for rock and roll, closing the final chapter on a man whose riffs, solos, and eccentric charisma helped shape one of the most influential and theatrical bands in music history. On Thursday, his family made the painful decision to remove him from life support after weeks of battling severe complications from a brain bleed, a tragic consequence of a fall he suffered in his recording studio. Despite doctors' efforts and countless prayers from fans across the world, Frehley's condition did not improve, and his loved ones ultimately had to make one of the hardest choices imaginable. Weeks earlier, Ace had been hospitalized following the accident. The fall reportedly occurred late at night while he was alone in his studio, a space he had always described as his sanctuary, filled with guitars, amplifiers, and decades of musical memories. The incident left him unconscious, and he was found hours later by someone from his team who had come to check on him. When news first broke that he had suffered a serious injury, fans hoped it was minor. However, as days passed and details began to surface, it became evident that the situation was dire. The brain bleed was severe, and doctors were forced to place him on a ventilator to assist his breathing. In the following weeks, his family remained by his bedside, holding on to every glimmer of hope that he would pull through. Frehley, known for his resilience and rebellious spirit, had faced dark times before, from addiction battles to near-death experiences, and had always managed to emerge stronger. This time, however, the fight was different. His once boundless energy, the spark that had fueled his music and persona for decades, slowly faded. The family's decision to remove life support was not made lightly. It was an act of love, respect, and heartbreaking acceptance. Following his hospitalization, Frehley's team announced the cancellation of his remaining tour dates. The message posted to his official Instagram account was brief, yet heavy with emotion. Due to some ongoing medical issues, Ace has made the difficult decision to cancel the remainder of his 2025 dates. No further explanation was given at the time, out of respect for his privacy. Fans flooded the comments section with words of encouragement, unaware that the situation behind the scenes was far graver than anyone could imagine. To understand the magnitude of Ace Frehley's loss, one must look back at his extraordinary life, a life defined by guitars, rebellion, and the raw energy of rock and roll. Born Paul Daniel Frehley on April 27, 1951, in the Bronx, New York, Ace grew up in a working-class family surrounded by the chaos and culture of the city. Music came to him naturally. His older brother and sister were both musically inclined, and by his teenage years, Ace was already obsessed with guitar playing. The neighborhood he grew up in was tough, but so was he. When his peers drifted toward trouble, Ace found salvation in music, spending countless hours perfecting riffs and studying the greats: Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck. By the early 1970s, New York's rock scene was bursting with creativity, and it was in that environment that Frehley crossed paths with Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, and Peter Criss. Together, they formed Kiss, a band that would forever change the landscape of rock. From the start, Kiss was more than just music. It was theater, spectacle, and pure adrenaline. Each member created a persona that amplified their musical identity. Gene Simmons became the Demon, Paul Stanley, the Star Child, Peter Criss, the Catman, and Ace Frehley, the Spaceman. Ace's alter ego was more than just a costume. It was a reflection of his personality. The Spaceman embodied everything Ace was: mysterious, otherworldly, and effortlessly cool. With his silver suit, shimmering boots, and lightning bolt makeup, Frehley looked like he belonged to another planet. But it wasn't just his image that made him stand out, it was his sound. His guitar work defined Kiss's early years, bringing an unmistakable blend of swagger and technical brilliance. Solos like those in Shock Me, Cold Gin, and Parasite became staples of rock history. His use of delay effects and fiery stage antics, including smoke billowing from his guitar, added to the mythos that made him unforgettable. Kiss exploded in popularity during the mid-1970s, becoming one of the biggest bands in the world. They sold out arenas, broke attendance records, and created a fan base known as the Kiss Army, one of the most dedicated in music history. The band's 1975 album, Alive, catapulted them to superstardom, capturing the raw energy of their live performances. Then came Destroyer, Love Gun, and Rock and Roll Over, albums that solidified their place in rock's pantheon. Yet behind the fame and painted faces, tensions were growing. The pressures of fame, grueling tours, and creative differences began to take their toll. Ace, always the most rebellious member, often clashed with Gene and Paul over artistic control and musical direction. He had a deep love for raw guitar-driven rock, while the others leaned toward a more commercial sound. His growing frustration, combined with struggles with alcohol and substance abuse, led to his departure from the band in 1982. Leaving Kiss was both a painful and liberating moment for Ace. He launched a solo career, forming his own band, Frehley's Comet, and released several albums that showcased his distinctive sound. His self-titled debut solo album, released in 1978, had already proven his individual brilliance, featuring the hit New York Groove, which became one of his signature songs. Frehley's Comet carried that legacy forward, giving him the freedom to experiment and connect with fans on his own terms. While his solo years were marked by creativity, they were also marred by personal demons. Ace struggled with addiction for much of his life, an issue he often discussed candidly in interviews in his autobiography, No Regrets. He once admitted that the lifestyle of rock and roll, the fame, the endless touring, and the temptations that came with it, nearly destroyed him. Yet even in his darkest moments, he never completely lost his love for music. It was the one constant that always brought him back from the edge. In 1996, after years of separation, Kiss reunited with its original lineup for a massive world tour. It was one of the most successful reunions in rock history, giving fans the chance to relive the magic that first captivated them decades earlier. Seeing the original four back together, in full makeup and armor, was a nostalgic and emotional experience for millions. The tour proved that despite past conflicts, the bond between them was unbreakable. However, by 2002, Ace once again decided to step away. The cycle of creative disagreements and exhaustion had resurfaced, and he chose to focus on his solo work once more. In the years that followed, Frehley continued to tour, record, and inspire new generations of guitarists. His influence stretched far beyond Kiss. Countless musicians, from Slash to Dave Grohl, have cited him as a major inspiration. His solos, both technically masterful and emotionally charged, became the blueprint for how to blend skill with soul. He wasn't just a guitarist, he was an innovator, a showman, and a pioneer of rock theatrics. As Frehley aged, he found peace in simplicity. In interviews, he spoke about spending more time with family, painting, and working on music at his own pace. He still performed, but the wild nights of the past had given way to quieter reflections. He expressed gratitude for having survived a lifestyle that had claimed many of his peers. He was proud of his legacy but humble about it, often joking that he never planned to become famous. He just wanted to play guitar.